How you doing? Welcome everybody to Steel Forge and Fire Sword and Knife. My name is Joe. So happy to see you all here today. Today I'm going to be showcasing for you the CIVIVI Riffle. Okay, but before I get into the review of the CIVIVI knife, a couple of things I wanted to get out of the way on the channel. To all our veterans, there's a place for you here. To all our veterans that dedicated so much, served in combat, served on the military, are now having troubles coping every day. There's a horrible statistic of 22 veterans a day that take their own lives. The number I think is getting lower, thankfully, and I'm going to call the hashtag 22 a day no more. Let's grow awareness to this, guys. Let's do something about it. Let's hope something changes and the numbers get down to zero. So awareness to our vets. Vets is a place for you here, and there's a number in the description of this video on all my videos if you are in despair and you need some good folk to talk to. The next thing I wanted to discuss with you guys is Blade Talk, okay? I'm wearing my Blade Talk hat. I have some nice clothing apparel coming in tomorrow. I'm actually very excited to see you. A couple of shirts from Steel Forge and Fire, a couple of hats, and also a really cool Blade Addict shirt that I made up. That's really, really cool. I'm going to be showing that to you when that comes in. Dust in here. I'll have it available for sale if anybody's interested in buying it. So that'll be coming in hopefully on my next video that I put out. But specifically about Blade Talk, guys, there is a new channel that I have partnered with Scab from Choirboyz Cutlery. It's a talk show called Blade Talk with Scab and Joe. A couple of my seasoned veteran subscribers know about it, but if you're a passive buyer, please sub to my channel, obviously. Be so kind. And also, please check out Blade Talk with Scab and Joe. Specifically, Blade Talk coming in this Saturday, the 15th at, I believe, at 3:30 p.m., we have an epic show coming in. If you know Neves Knives and if you know Big Red EDC, Jared and JB will be appearing on our live on Blade Talk this coming Saturday. The Blade Talk topic is going to be called Story Behind the Knife, or Story of a Knife, something like that. You'll see the title on the screen. And it's something I've been working on for a little while. We have a couple submissions from some viewers, which I'm very excited to show. And we'll basically be also talking to Jared and JB with myself and Scab. We'll be talking knives, and we'll be talking about their specific story about certain knives that they carry every day, and what is the story behind it and everything that goes with it. It's going to be an epic show, and there's going to be giveaways. We're going to have some giveaways on the show, so you definitely do not want to miss it. So if you are not subscribed, please check out Blade Talk with Scab and Joe. Give it some love, and please join us this Saturday. It is going to be an epic show with two amazing YouTubers in Neves Knives, in Jared, and in JB with Big Red EDC. Okay, guys, so we have this CIVIVI Riffle here. It's a CIVIVI knife. Now, listen, I have basically a love-hate relationship with CIVIVI, and hate might actually be a little bit of a strong word. I would say love, somewhere between love and mediocrity. I think CIVIVI knives are pretty much a knife for everyone. They're clean, they're built very well, they have good action, the blade steel is always great, and great handles. It's just a very solid, very clean looking knife. And I always say that CIVIVI can be a knife pretty much for all, because it has a styling to it that can pretty much adapt to anyone. Okay, to women, to men, to everyday carry people, to people who basically use their knives and rely on them. It is a very solid knife. One of the things I don't like about CIVIVI are their handles, okay? Not the materials they use. I mean, this is a nice brown micarta. This is great. Their handles are a little sometimes straight-edged, a little small for my taste. I like more of a robust type of handle, but this specific one is a little bit more contoured to the hand. I know some CIVIVIs are like this, but I actually really like the feel of this particular handle on the CIVIVI. Also, the cutout on the blade takes a little bit getting used to, but once you do get used to it, you actually really do like it. So if I had to say anything right off the bat I don't like about this knife, is this cutout that a little by little I am getting used to. I would like that filled in with steel, but hence I don't think it affects the performance of the knife. One great thing about this is the fact that it is crazy ass sharp. CIVIVI knives, go from their presentation out of the box. They take a lot of pride in what they sell, and they take a lot of pride in giving you a really nice fine edge right out of the box. And I always appreciate it when I receive a knife from stock off the production line that is as crazy sharp as this is here. Okay, now this is I would say that this is a brand new knife, because this knife came from me from Rusty Knife Lover for the point of review, so it is on loan. This particular knife I think came brand new from Scab, because he liked his so much when he did his review, and he actually bought a brand new one that he's sending back to Rusty. So this would basically be close to being brand new out of the box, and the edge is really crazy ass sharp. I did some cutting with it. You'll see on the video. I did some demonstrations with it, but definitely check out also Scab's video. I'll put a link to into the comment section or the description of this video, and you can see also his video that he made on this CIVIVI Riffle, and he also liked it very much. But I think out of many CIVIVI knives that I've seen and held, I am really digging this one. I'm digging the handle. I'm digging the contoured feel of the micarta handles, the solidity of this knife, the steel liners. It's really a great knife. It's a great CIVIVI option. Okay, for so many reasons. If you can get used to like this little cutout section here, I guess for aesthetic reasons, they want to do something different. Personally, would like that filled up with steel, give it a little bit more of a belly, give it a little bit more of a robust feel to it, to the blade. But nonetheless, I think it is a nice design feature for those who are looking for something like this. So now if we have to talk about the handles, so now this is the handle here. Now, if you look at one of my other favorite carries, is the Essie Avispa, and you notice if you try to line it up, you notice basically the difference in the handles and how this is, so the Essie Avispa just has such a great, comfortable handle, a lot of real estate in the hands, contoured to the fingers, and it's just so much more comfortable. That's the type of handle that I like, okay? Or if I have to compare this to the, which is a budget knife. This is a Honey Badger large flipper. Okay, notice how robust the handle is on here, and if you could compare these side to side, okay, you see basically how much more comfortable this fits in the hands. And this is one of the most comfortable hands, especially at the price range of like 30, 40 bucks that I've seen so far. I really am digging this Honey Badger, okay? You have some nice finger choy here, but that's not what it's about. But I just want to show you what type of handle I am looking for and what you're getting from CIVIVI, and that's where like the mediocrity thing comes in for me. But not to take anything away from this knife, this definitely is an improvement over some other CIVIVI knives that I've tested and seen, okay? It is more contoured, has a little bit more grip to it. It hugs the fingers here at the end, and you can definitely have some has no finger choils, but you can definitely some jimping here to make it a little bit more comfortable to hold as well. So this is definitely a much better handle that I've seen from other CIVIVI knives that I've seen, that I've reviewed and held in my hand. Without further ado, let's actually get into some details of the knife and some close-ups and let you know what this knife is all about. And then we're going to just kind of sum it up and let you know my overall impressions of what this knife did after I held it. I've been carrying it around for about 2 weeks, how it feels in the pocket, and everything that goes along with that. So here we go. Okay, so the overall length of this knife is about 8 inches. It has a blade length of 3.5 inches and a cutting edge of that size as well. The blade width is about 1.13 inches and the blade thickness is 0.12 inches. The blade material is called a Sandvik 14C28N. It's a drop point blade. The blade grind is hollow and it has a stone wash finish. It has a beautiful brown micarta handle scales over steel liners. It states that it has a reliable liner lock knife to keep the fingers safe, and it has a reversible deep carry pocket. Now you can see the brown micarta is great. I'm a very big fan of the brown micarta. It's got a nice little blade architecture, some nice, some normal thickness on the spine, nothing too crazy, comes to a nice fine point. You see those beautiful steel liners there over the under the micarta. It's just a very good looking knife. And if you can get past some of the aesthetic things with the cutout and the blade, it is actually a very handsome looking knife and different from a lot of other CIVIVIs I've seen. Now, the motion of this knife, the action, the flipper tab open is very fluid, very easy. As far as the close though, it doesn't really drop very fluidly. It kind of bounces in the handle when you do close it. You have to give it a little bit more of a push to kind of keep it in place. I'm imagining that that may wear out in time with some use. Like I said, this is practically a brand new knife. I'm sure with some use, it may drop a little bit more fluidly and kind of stay in place. But you can see I'm just having a little bit difficulty kind of with the close, hit the wood there. But on the open, very fluid, very snippy, nice sound to it. But all in all, I think this is a great knife, and it's got some really nice specs to it. Okay, food prep. Now, I understand you wouldn't normally use your EDC in your pocket to, cut up food, but, also, why not? It's sharp, it's a knife, it's in your pocket. Swap it off with alcohol, clean it, don't contaminate your food, and you can definitely process food with it. So I was actually just trying to actually start getting dinner ready while I was reviewing the knife. I was making a meat and vegetable stew with some pastina, and I figured let me cut it up and let me demonstrate what you can do with this knife. So here I am just cutting up some carrots. Obviously didn't have any issues cutting up the carrots. What I did notice though about the edge, the sharpness level of the edge is different at different parts of the blade. I noticed the upper 2/3 of the blade was more closer to like a razor sharp type of finish, but closer to the micarta handle at the bottom of the blade, the edge wasn't as sharp as the upper 2/3, so it's not a completely uniform sharpness. And you'll see that later on when I'm actually cutting some meat. But it went through the carrots just fine. I have used EDCs many times, and also more fixed blades, preferably something with like a straight edge. To do some food prep is a little bit easier than the contour of this drop point with that rounded edge. It's a little bit more difficult to really, get some good solid even cuts. But here I am cutting some frozen garlic. Yes, I do freeze my garlic because peeled garlic, if you put it in the freezer, it will last a lot longer than keeping it in the fridge. But you can see it is taking some really nice fine cuts of that garlic. It's not like cutting frozen garlic is not as the same as cutting fresh garlic because it changes the texture a little bit. But obviously, once you cook it, it's exactly the same. But it did a great job cutting the garlic, doing the prep. But I did notice there was a different level of sharpness in different parts of the blade. But I would say my favorite food processing knife would be my cold steel leather neck Tanto with a straight edge. Really does a fine job in doing all my food prep. But gotta say, this was pretty good. It was a lot of fun to actually, prep my dinner that night with using this CIVIVI Riffle. I was making some really nice fine cuts because, like I said, that upper 2/3 portion there, the edge is very, very sharp. I mean, almost pretty much razor sharp, which is a very welcome addition to these CIVIVI knives. All right, so here I'm cutting up some meat because you got to have sausage in your, one-pot stew. Got to get that protein in there. So it was doing just fine, like I said, with the upper portion of the blade. But you'll see now more into these cuts where I actually, I'm using the lower portion of the blade closest to the micarta handle, where it was having a little bit of trouble really just making a fine cut. Not that it couldn't cut. It's definitely still sharp, but you can see the difference in the level of sharpness on different parts of the blade. All in all, I was definitely happy with using this knife as food prep. And you know what? Listen, if you're basically in the middle of the woods and you have a knife in your pocket, I mean, this will definitely cut up your food. It'll do whatever you need to do. It'll do knife things. It's sharp. Here is the finished cuts, okay, in the bowl here. And here is my finished stew. Absolutely delicious. You got some veggies. You got carrots. You got celery. You got tiny rolled up meatballs, a sausage, and, of course, my Italian pastina in a really good chicken stock. So, excellent. So after my delicious bachelor dinner was all done, it was very yummy. I wanted to process some cardboard for recycles. So I figured let's test out the knife at the same time. Now, what I noticed with this knife, because this is a pretty, some of the pieces of this cardboard are actually pretty stiff. And what I noticed was because the handle is not as robust as some other EDCs, it was, I really had to put a lot of force and have a really nice tight grip on the handle to really get through the material, but it was definitely doing the job. I mean, it was going through all the cardboard pretty well. I definitely see the difference with like one of my big cold steel folders with the triad lock and, the big comfortable grippy handle, 5-inch handle. But it was doing a good job. But like you said, I had to really kind of finger grip it on top to really get a good grip to get into it. But, for the most part, you know what? When you have a knife, you learn what its capabilities are, you learn how to use it, but it was definitely getting through the cardboard pretty well. Again, I didn't do any heavy cutting with it, so there's no reason why the edge should be diminished, but it did handle all the processing of this cardboard for recycle pretty well. You notice all the fine slices there. But again, you see how the portion of the blade where it's not as sharp as the upper 2/3, you notice an example of it right there. But very happy with it. It did a good job. Okay, so Blade HQ has the CIVIVI Riffle priced at $55.25, and I think it's pretty competitive around all the big box stores. You could probably get a little cheaper on Amazon and such, but pretty good budget style knife at $55.25. Now, for the price of the knife at that price point, I'm going to try to attempt to give it some kind of a rating on some different areas of the knife. So, CIVIVI Riffle, so I would say for aesthetics, now this, give it a little bit of lower mark for this cutout. Again, this is just a personal preference. I would have liked to just have this filled up with steel. But if someone's looking for that type of aesthetic on the knife, there are a lot of knives out there. I've never been a really big fan of them. That's why I'm not a big fan of Spyderco. But for the overall look of this knife with this really pretty micarta handle, the nice blade shape, sharp, it is definitely a sharp knife. I would say I would give it around a 7. Now, for the usability of the knife, I would actually give it probably around a 7 as well, because I did find a little difficulty because of the handle, and it's not, I wish the handle was a little bit longer and a little bit beefier, with such a nice capable blade. It would have kind of went through some of that harder cardboard a little bit easier. So I would definitely give it a 7 for a usability standpoint. But high marks on the fact that with all CIVIVI knives, you get a really nice sharp edge. I wish it was a little bit uniform on this portion of the blade as the top portion of the blade. For the most part, it is still good. You know what? If you hone it a little bit and maybe give it a little strop, it's going to kind of all even out. So it's not a big problem. Moment of the video where I tell you, is this knife worth it or not? I would say yes. And I would say yes to pretty much any CIVIVI. CIVIVIs are a good buy. They're a really good knife for most people. This particular CIVIVI Riffle, I do like it compared to other CIVIVI knives I've held. I do like the handle compared to others. Like I think the Elementum has more of a straight type blade. I'm just not comfortable in my hand. Even the Elementum fixed blade, great blade. Great quality handle and fit and finish on all their knives. I'm just not that crazy about the handles, but this is definitely an exception. I do like this handle. This is definitely a good buy. If you are considering a CIVIVI knife, definitely take a look at the CIVIVI Riffle, and also take a look at Scab's video to see some more testing on the knife to get more of an educated decision of what you would like to do. So CIVIVI Riffle from CIVIVI, great knife, not perfect. Great for the price point, great budget price point at around 56 bucks. You could definitely find it on Blade HQ. They're pretty much always in stock. They don't really sell out of these things that quick. And take a look at it. So I hope you enjoyed this knife review. Please don't forget to check out Blade Talk, and don't forget our vets. Love you all out there on YouTube land, all my sword and knife friends, and to all my sword friends. Guys, thanks for being patient. I got some swords. I'm not waiting patiently, but waiting for them to come in. So I do have some katana coming in, and those reviews are going to come by very, very soon, hopefully. All right. So to everyone out there, have a good day, good night. Appreciate you guys watching my video. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, and comment. I always love talking to you guys, and I'll see you when I see you next. Sword and Knife. This is Joe from Steel Forge and Fire Sword and Knife, signing out. Ciao, everybody.